Rush.
Good morning. Welcome to Morning Rush. I'm Holly Furfer in Atlanta on this Monday with a look at the headlines this hour. Breaking news from overnight. 2 people are dead, dozens injured after an Air Canada flight collided with a fire truck while landing at LaGuardia Airport Sunday night. A law enforcement source says the pilot and the co-pilot died in that crash. 41 passengers and crew were hospitalized, but all but 9 have been released. The fire truck was responding to another incident on the runway when the plane hit it at 130 miles an hour.
We went down for a regular landing. We came in pretty hard. We immediately hit something, and it was just chaos in there. About 5 seconds later, we had come to a stop, but in that short period, I mean, everybody was hunkered down and everybody was screaming. Pretty quickly, we didn't have any directions because the pilot's cabin had been kind of destroyed. So somebody said, let's get the emergency exit and get the door in. Let's all jump out, and that's exactly what we did.
These are live pictures right now from LaGuardia. The airport is closed until at least 2 p.m. today. President Trump has extended his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, delaying threatened strikes on power plants for 5 days. Trump announced the extension on Truth Social Monday, just hours before his original deadline. He says the U.S. and Iran have had very good and productive conversations that could possibly lead to a complete resolution in the war. Iran has not immediately acknowledged any talks between the countries. Meanwhile, Israel launched new strikes on Tehran Monday after Iran fired missiles at Israel over the weekend. Scripps News Chief Washington correspondent Joe St. George joins us now live from Capitol Hill. Good morning, Joe. What do we know this morning?
Well, this is a significant development posted, give or take, about 40 minutes or so ago from the President of the United States. And it's an important development on 2 big fronts. I just want to read what the President wrote on Truth Social. Quote, I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. All right, before we get to the rest of that post, let's dissect that sentence for a bit. That's a noteworthy sentence because even though we had an inkling that there were talks happening behind the scenes, the President indicated and confirmed that for the last 2 days, discussions have been occurring, and that it's possible that Operation Epic Fury, the war in the Middle East, could soon be coming to an end. Remember, the President always seemed to suggest 4, 5, 6 weeks was the time frame for this conflict. This social media post from this morning puts the President right back on this schedule and suggests there may be some demands being met with the Iranians. Now, goals may be shifting in order to end the Iraq war. Is a total regime change going to occur? Certainly doesn't seem like that's on the horizon in Tehran. Will Iran have completely eliminated all of its nuclear weapons? Again, big question marks, but this is a noteworthy post from the President. And then just to read the rest of it, again, such an important post. Quote, based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I've instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. So let's break that portion of the President's remarks out because some context is needed there. What we thought was our big story of the morning was us just hours away from the President's ultimatum. On Saturday night, the President gave Iran a 48-hour deadline to open up the Strait of Hormuz, or the President would order strikes on major power electricity grids in Iran. That would likely trigger a blackout. Iran essentially didn't blink. They threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz indefinitely if the President did that. So tensions were very high up until 45 minutes ago. And now we have this word from the President, Holly, suggesting the exact opposite, that things are going well, that perhaps we could be toward the end of this conflict. What this will do for the markets, what this will do for oil, we'll be tracking it throughout the day. But after weeks of just bad and grim and escalating news to report, airport. This is a big step in the direction of perhaps some sort of disarmament in the Middle East, Holly.
And Joe, we have not heard or seen from Mujtaba Khamenei, the son of the former Ayatollah, who's now supposedly leading the country. Has there been any word? Has he resurfaced? And is he the one that perhaps U.S. is negotiating with? Are there top officials? What is that communication like? Do we even know?
We know that the leadership council of Iran has really been the major power players here. The foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, others have really been involved in a lot of these high-stakes diplomatic conversations. And this was true prior to Mujtaba Khamenei taking over for his father. But if we are truly on the verge of this ending, right? People are going to be asking, well, who's controlling Iran? On paper, it is Mujtaba Khamenei, but to your point, Holly, we haven't seen him. He hasn't given this big speech. Now, some people might say, well, that's for safety reasons and security reasons. Israel's intelligence is very good, and they've taken out many leaders over the course of these last several weeks. However, it also could point to the fact, is he disabled? Is he incapacitated in some way because of a previous injury sustained during this conflict? We just don't know. But the fact that we seem to be closer to a deal, it does make me wonder what missions, what goals will have been achieved. I mean, think about what the president initially said. He talked about, there was talks in the Israeli government of needing true philosophical Iranian regime change. Well, yes, there's been technically a change at the top, but father to son, is that really regime change? What about nuclear weapons? Again, it's more than just the Strait of Hormuz, right? This is about Iran's nuclear capabilities. What has Iran potentially agreed to, or what has the United States potentially allowed Iran to agree to? Again, we're not there yet, but based on the president's comments, big developments on this Monday morning.
All right, Joe, let's turn closer to home now. Over the weekend, President Trump also saying that he was going to send ICE agents to airports to help ease the TSA situation and put Tom Homan in charge, Homeland Security in charge. So, I'm sorry, ICE in charge. What do we make of that? And are we seeing them in airports so far? Will they be in all airports, big airports? What's the latest on that?
Well, if you go about 30 minutes from your studios in Atlanta, Holly, you'll see ICE agents today. We know Atlanta's mayor has confirmed that Atlanta will be one location that ICE is expected. Atlanta has seen some of the worst lines anywhere in the country because of this ongoing Department of Homeland Security shutdown. We're entering now, we're soon to be 6 weeks into this. We're soon to be 2 weeks removed from the last time any TSA officer got $1. Lines have been horrific at some locations. Now, they've been just fine at other locations. My photographer on the other side of this camera, he flew last night. He had no issues in Chicago or flying into Reagan in Washington, D.C., but certainly not the case in Houston, not the case in Atlanta, not the case in other locations around the country as well. So the Trump administration is deploying ICE today. We don't have a complete list yet of where, but we know Atlanta is one of them. What they will be doing is a big question mark. And yesterday, Tom Homan openly mused that some of the more mundane tasks ICE could easily do. For instance, you know, when you go to an airport and there's always that exit, that door, that ramp that says, if you pass this line, you'll have to go back through security. Usually a TSA officer is manning that location. Well, in theory, ICE could man that location. ICE could, in theory, scan a driver's license or a passport to get people through security. Tom Homan suggested yesterday that the more specialized training, X-ray screening, for instance, would still be done by TSA officers. So we'll see the extent of this. We'll also see if this gets Democrats at all closer to the negotiation table. Holly, they're furious that the Trump administration is doing this. And there's a bit of irony here because this shutdown is about the ICE and immigration enforcement reform. I want to play a portion of what Tom Homan said yesterday on CNN's State of the Union.
My opinion is that we concentrate on the airports where the longest waits are. We prioritize those. The large airports where there's a long wait, like 3 hours. Lines are really slow because of the shutdown. This is about going to helping TSA do their mission and get the American public through that airport as quick as they can while adhering to all the security guidelines and the protocols.
We know conversations have taken place between Republicans and Democrats in recent days, and offers from the White House has been made, but the White House has not moved an inch so far on the Democrat demand for masks to be removed by ICE officers. Again, we'll see if this latest move by the president changes the negotiations at all. Nothing in my reporting this morning, Holly, suggests that we're anywhere that a deal is imminently going to be taking place. This shutdown continues and travel headaches continue.
All right, and in about 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes or so, we'll have a live report from Detroit's airport, so we'll be able to check in and see what it looks like there. Scripps News Chief Washington correspondent Joe St. George for us. Thank you, Joe.
Scripps News, part of the Scripps News Group. This is Morning Rush.
We're following the latest developments in some of the busiest airports across the country as ICE agents have now been sent to assist TSA workers. And one of those airports is Detroit. Scripps News Group Detroit's Brittany Toulis is at Detroit Metro Airport. So good morning. What does it look like there in the 8 a.m. Eastern hour?
Hey, good morning, Holly. So we've been here since about 4 o'clock this morning, keeping an eye out, and so far we have not seen any ICE agents or immigration enforcement. We have seen some backups, though, here at TSA, and they did just change the configuration. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see, but this is what's happening. Before, they just had the maze-style lines going. Now we have kind of two waiting areas here at TSA. When you enter in the standard screening, they're putting people here in this kind of pool waiting area. Then they're sending them, here they go right here, two at a time, shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to walk past an explosive dog. Then the explosives dog will walk across and wait for the next two to go through. So this is the latest update. It's happened within the last 20 minutes. They've started having people go through this way, but all 4 TSA lines ahead do seem to be open. When we first got here, they only had 2 open. Now all 4 are open, and also to alleviate this, downstairs in the international security checkpoint, they're allowing domestic flyers to go through there as well to alleviate any backlog that these TSA agents are having up here. The pre-check area as well did get backed up a little bit, but that seems to be pretty clear. But that's the most we've been seeing. This is kind of the latest configuration. This is as deep as we've seen these TSA lines go. You can see them kind of backing up a little bit in this little first waiting area here. But so far, no immigration enforcement agents. You can see another dog's being brought up to either switch out with this dog or to join it to make it go a little faster, because as I said, this backup is starting to happen a little more than we've seen so far. But like I said, so we don't know which airports these ICE agents are going. We're told that 14 airports are going to be seeing these immigration enforcement agents today. So far, we have not seen them, though, here at DTW, Holly.
And Brittany, what is the wait time this morning, and how does that compare to, say, a normal Monday morning of travel?
So far, the waits are not terrible. At most, we've seen it take probably about 15 to 20 minutes for people to get through this new configuration. I honestly cannot tell if it's making it go faster or slower right now. It doesn't seem to be taking that long to get through TSA. I'd say the longest wait we've seen is maybe 20 minutes before they change to this configuration. As I said, this configuration's only within the last 25-ish minutes now, but the lines have not gotten bad here at DTW. It's kind of pretty comparable to other Monday mornings, and as I said, all 4 TSA lines are going here. You can see they're all, and they have kind of a relief area downstairs, additional TSA checkpoints for people to go through. So lines here at DTW are not bad so far this morning, and so far no immigration enforcement agents have been spotted here at DTW in the McNamara terminal. That's the Delta hub part. We haven't been in the Evans terminal yet, but we have not seen any here at the McNamara or the Delta terminal here, Holly.
All right, fingers crossed it stays easy today. Scripps News Group Detroit reporter Brittany Toulis. Brittany, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I'm Ben Winslow in West Jordan. We've got new information on the water situation across Utah, and things are looking bleak. We've got hotter temperatures, not a lot of snow in the mountains, and everyone across the state is being asked to conserve more water this year.
The new normal is not normal, and that's what we're having to deal with.
Utah's Department of Natural Resources is looking at a record low water situation.
Our snow water equivalent, that's the moisture that's in the snow, is at 8.4 inches. The previous record low was 10.3 inches. And so we're talking about significantly lower than the previous record low.
Temperatures are 2 to 3 degrees above normal. Weather forecasts suggest snow melt will outpace any new snow we do get. Spring runoff is forecast to be poor, which will impact reservoirs. Those reservoirs will be relied on heavily.
But regardless, we're anywhere in the state of Utah, we are in some form of drought right now.
That will have other impacts on the Great Salt Lake, which could shrink to a new record low this summer, and the Colorado River system, where Lake Powell is forecast to dramatically decline, impacting water and power supplies for millions of people.
We're looking at everything we can do to help support that. To help prop that up.
Across the state, local water districts are preparing. The Weber Basin Water Conservancy District is exploring delaying irrigation season and reducing use by 20%. Washington County's water district says it won't ask municipal customers to cut, but agriculture will see cuts. Salt Lake City could see some impacts.
So we're looking at a voluntary 5 to 10% reduction of everyone across the board, which shouldn't be too difficult. That's watering just a little bit less each time.
The Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District is asking people in Salt Lake County to wait to water until May 15th at the earliest.
This will help us get a head start on the water year, and really your grass doesn't need it before then.
Jordan Valley documented a spike in outdoor residential water use last year.
If we continue down the trend of last year, then yeah, we're going to run down our reservoirs quite a bit.
Water districts will offer you money to get rid of grass you don't use in exchange for water-wise plants. The state will also lease water from some to help prop up the Great Salt Lake.
We need to be smart about how we use our water.
So far, I'm told the governor is not planning to issue any kind of drought declaration, but that could certainly change as we head into spring and summer. Ben Winslow, Scripps News Group.
I'm John Matteries. Thinking of a home improvement project this year? Well, before you start picking out fixtures, I'll show you how to choose a contractor who you can trust.
Watching Morning Rush on Scripps News. Coming up at noon, it's Scripps News on the Scene with live coverage and breaking news as it unfolds. Then at 5, watch Happening Now in America on Scripps News.
Are you in the market for home improvement? Well, before you start picking out the cabinets, tile, or fixtures, the first step with any rehab project is to choose a contractor you can trust.
We have to stop the damage of the water inside.
Kristen Cahill had an urgent problem for a contractor, a leaky roof.
So this is where all the damage is, and it just runs down this wall.
She signed a contract with a roofer who had worked in her neighborhood.
I respected him and believed what he was going to give me in the new roof.
After giving a $2,000 deposit, she waited and waited while her roof continued to leak.
They said they were 4 to 6 weeks out.
And nobody's been here?
Mm-mm. And no supplies have been delivered either.
When hiring a contractor, Christine Haley with the Better Business Bureau says be wary of companies going door to door.
I was down the street and I did a concrete job, and I have some extra material.
The contractor may be legit, but take time to confirm it. Don't hire on the spot. She says verify the company has necessary licenses and insurance.
You know, the days of a handshake or a verbal promise, that doesn't carry anymore.
And check out the contractor's business profile on bbb.org. And if there's a pattern of complaints, that's a red flag?
That is a red flag.
Attending a home remodeling show like this is a great way to meet contractors in person.
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
And get some inspiration, in this case from a flooring company.
From polished concrete to epoxy floors, refinishing hardwood.
But don't feel pressured to make a decision right away. Make sure to review their previous work. Ask for references and ask for multiple quotes. Otherwise, like Kristen, you may be ghosted.
All those shingles should be gone by now, and they're still there.
Yes.
A painful lesson so you don't waste your money. John Mattery, Scripps News Group.
Our phones are absolutely listening to us. It's obvious. Anytime you pop open social media and you see ads for things you've researched or even discussed with others. But it's information we allow companies to collect and use through various terms and conditions agreements. Scripps News Group's Ed Drench has some helpful reminders to keep your digital privacy in check.
So the software on my iPhone recently updated, and I wanted to go through and see what's new. In the process, I stumbled upon this app privacy report, and immediately I was like, huh?
This is like a dashboard. It's telling you, hey, here are all the apps. Here's what this app is doing. It's looking at your contact history. It's looking at your photographs. The important thing here is you gave it access.
Then I went all in, talking to Arun Vishwanath. He's a cybersecurity expert, because I saw this section that says it shows when and how many times an app accessed your camera, your contacts, location, media library, microphone.
Should people be worried that they're listening to you?
It's not that there's a bad guy out there or some hacker out there listening to you. This is basically companies that are using that data at scale. They're monetizing it. There's a lot of behavioral profiling that happens with this kind of data. So it's not that they're listening to what you're saying without your permission. They're listening to what you're sharing. You just don't realize what you're sharing.
So if you're like me at this point, you're saying, burn it down. I'm done. I don't want anything tracking me. I don't want anything listening to me. Here's how you can find out what's happening right under your nose without you even knowing. Open your settings, scroll down to privacy and security. You'll see the apps using your location, but then scroll down to app privacy report. Click that, and then click turn on app privacy report. It'll eventually show you which apps are collecting your information, and you just have to be vigilant.
Background data, information about where you are, your location information. That's something most apps don't need access to. And there are different ways to prevent it, right? Apple gives you, even Android gives you the opportunity to say, well, I'll only use my background when I use the app. Or is it all the time? You have to decide that.
For parents looking to get their kids a cell phone, Apple allows you to set up an iPhone based on your child's age. They can't download apps without your permission first. That way you know what's on their phone and who has access to them as well.
In Buffalo, I'm Ed Drench reporting.
After the break, a live look at today's top stories. Morning Rush starts now.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to Morning Rush. I'm Holly Furfer in Atlanta with a look at the headlines this hour. Oil prices continue to surge, with crude now up more than 50% since the war began. Brent crude is trading around $113 a barrel in early trading. A senior UN official says the world is seeing a ripple effect with exponential price hikes in oil, fuel, and gas. The increases are hitting millions of people hardest in Asian and African developing countries. South Korean chemical giant LG Chem had to shut down a major plant because the war disrupted supplies of a key petroleum product. And the Supreme Court is hearing arguments today on whether states can count late arriving mail ballots. The case from Mississippi could affect voters in 14 states and D.C. that have grace periods for mail ballots. A ruling is expected by late June, in time for the 2026 midterm elections. Election officials warn of confusion and disenfranchisement if states must make quick changes. And a statue of Christopher Columbus has been erected on the White House grounds, the latest sign of the Trump administration's efforts to reshape cultural representations in Washington. This statue is a replica of one toppled in Baltimore during racial justice protests in 2020. It was installed over the weekend outside the Eisenhower Executive Office building. President Trump praised an Italian-American group for bringing that statue to Washington after the original was torn down by what he called anti-American rioters. A White House spokesperson says Columbus is a hero who will be honored for generations to come.
The Attorney General is set to sit down for a deposition with a committee investigating the Department of Justice's handling of the investigations into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in less than a month. But after some fireworks on Capitol Hill this week, whether Republicans will force her to appear remains a very open question. The calendar is booked. March, April, May, and June, nearly every week, a connection to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell will be questioned before the House Oversight Committee. Big names like Bill Gates will walk through the doors to testify about his interactions with the financier. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, pictured on multiple occasions with Epstein, has volunteered to speak with the committee but has not scheduled an interview yet.
I mean, that's a step, but isn't this, I mean, how many years late is this?
It's the smaller names like former assistants, lawyers, and confidants that might give the most chilling insight into the convicted sex offender's actions. Jennifer Freeman represents a group of survivors and suggests immunity for some of Epstein's closest confidants.
You need an inside person to tell you what was really going on. And I don't understand why there's been no effort. Well, I do understand, but I'm frustrated that there's been no effort to, talk to the lieutenants.
While many will testify about Epstein's life, at least one witness is expected to testify about his death. Tova Noel will sit before the committee on March 26th. She is one of the corrections officers on duty the morning Epstein was found dead in his cell. She was charged in 2019 with falsifying records that made it appear as though she completed her required rounds, when in fact she didn't conduct a prisoner count the night Epstein died. Still, the DOJ's Office of Inspector General report noted surveillance video of Noel at 10:40 p.m. the night Epstein died, carrying linen up to the tier of cells where Epstein was housed. The charges were ultimately dismissed after she made a deal with prosecutors, but she's believed to be the last person to see Epstein alive. Do survivors have an interest in that part of the investigation?
I think they do. I think they have less. I mean, it's part of the piece, right? Because if it was found that this was not a suicide, then you have to ask, well, then what was it and who was behind it? And how does that relate to the underlying story and what happened to them?
And Norway's crown princess sitting for an interview nearly 2 months after details emerged that she exchanged hundreds of emails with Jeffrey Epstein between 2011 and 2014 and even stayed at his Palm Beach mansion. He was not there, but she said there was a situation while she stayed at the house without going into further detail. Now, the prince, who also appeared in the interview, said whatever occurred made his wife feel unsafe. The princess maintained contact with Epstein afterwards, but she told Norway's national broadcaster she wished she'd never met him and called herself, quote, too trusting of Epstein. Alex Miller, Scripps News Group, New York.
The late civil rights icon Cesar Chavez, his legacy's now coming under fire after allegations of sexual assault. And that affects areas here in Metro Detroit, including Pontiac, where Cesar Chavez Avenue stretches for miles. A name that once carried pride now carries mixed emotions.
It's really hard to deal with, but at the same time, something has to be done about it because we can't just ignore.
Pontiac City Councilman Mikhail Goodman says when he saw the sexual assault allegations come down regarding civil rights icon Cesar Chavez, who created the United Farm Workers Union in the 60s, he immediately thought of the sprawling thoroughfare that goes through his own city, Cesar E. Chavez Avenue, that was once called Oakland Avenue.
There were already members of the community who were like, yep, time to fix this, time to change this. And so...
Just like that.
Yeah.
He says in light of the allegations of the then underage girls who claimed they were sexually assaulted by Chavez in the 60s and 70s, and his right-hand woman and civil rights icon herself, Dolores Huerta, coming forward with claims of her own, Goodman says the avenue does not represent Pontiac anymore. So you are looking at renaming Cesar Chavez Avenue?
Yes, and preferably changing it to Dolores Huerta Avenue.
It's a process that has to go through multiple approvals and steps, and he says that could take a year or even longer, but it's something he's already started looking into. And it's something the owner of Chavez Street Auto Care in Pontiac, Tony Juma, supports.
You know, if the allegations are true, I think it's a good idea to change the name. It bothers me to hear anybody has done anything like that.
Juma says he would even consider changing his own business name that he's had for around 15 years in light of these allegations. Over in Southwest Detroit at Cesar Chavez Academy, a charter school run by the private education management company, the Leona Group, a name that once carried pride now carries a cloud of suspicion and is something that has to be addressed. In a statement, the CEO, Georgia Rogers, said in part, quote, "We are monitoring the impact of this deeply disturbing situation and will respond accordingly to protect the sanctity of what we do and who we serve." A complicated historical figure with a legacy now in question and a community having to adapt.
We got to bring the situation to justice.
I'm Rudolph Snyder reporting.
is part of the Scripps News Group. News teams from across the country.
Reporting in Detroit.
In Phoenix. In Tampa. Connecting together to cover what's important to you. From the nation.
Big developments out of Washington today.
To your neighborhood.
For impacts across the country, we go to our Scripps News Group reporter in Cincinnati.
Ohio is already seeing the effect.
Rely on the reporting power of the Scripps News Group here on Scripps News.
I'm Forrest Saunders standing in front of the state capitol, and everybody is talking about gas prices right now. They say they are too high, but there are only so many things the state can do, and one of them is a gas tax holiday, which Governor DeSantis said this week he's not really interested in.
According to AAA, Florida gas prices are topping the national average. Regular at about $3.95 a gallon, prompting some to push for another gas tax holiday from Tallahassee.
Oh, good morning. Thanks so much.
But Governor Ron DeSantis this week was skeptical. He said past holidays didn't deliver real savings as prices flux and companies offset the difference. He said it was more of a federal issue.
When we did the gas tax holiday, I don't think anybody really said that they were saving off of it. And I don't know that we even noticed the difference in the price.
His feelings, a 180 from DeSantis in 2021. Back then, he pitched a $1 billion gas tax cut, saying it was fighting high inflation under President Joe Biden.
You know, we're taking over 25 cents from Florida, and we'll basically zero that out for as long as we can and do over $1 billion. That's going to make a huge, huge deal.
Ultimately, DeSantis had to compromise with lawmakers, signing just $200 million worth of relief for the month of October, a gas tax holiday right ahead of his reelection.
Good job. All right.
At the time, many Democrats condemned the plan as a ploy to grab votes. But these days, Democrats say they would absolutely support a gas tax holiday.
We've done that in the past when there have been increases in the gas tax. Let's do it right now. Because of the war in Iran, gas prices are going crazy.
Florida Senate Minority Leader Lori Berman tried to pitch one this legislative session. Republicans didn't want it, and she says they'll now have to own that.
It's really a shame that we've had 60 days and we have almost nothing to show the state for affordability issues.
What comes next? Unclear. Gas prices don't show any immediate signs of easing, and at least for now, the state's top politician is leery of a holiday to help.
Now, lawmakers still could do something on the gas tax. That's if they try and reduce it during an upcoming budget special session, which we expect to be sometime in April. We just don't have the details on that yet. In fact, they don't even have a budget yet. So we're going to have to wait and see how this all shakes out. Right now, gas tax holiday, probably not going to happen, but you never know in Florida politics. That's the latest out here at the state capitol. I'm Forrest Saunders reporting.
Millions of Americans are paying more for health insurance this year, and that's because subsidies that helped many people who were covered under the Affordable Care Act expired last year. Now, a new survey shows some of those recipients have dropped their health care altogether. Millions of Americans are forgoing health insurance after subsidies under the Affordable Care Act expired at the end of last year. 1 in 10 Americans who had insurance through the ACA last year dropped their coverage and are currently uninsured, according to a new survey from KFF.
And they're going to be having to navigate really difficult decisions if they're forced to face making some healthcare decisions without health insurance coverage over the course of the year.
80% who re-enrolled now report higher healthcare costs. Many expressed concern to the Scripps News Group last year about what their insurance would look like in 2026 without those subsidies.
If I did not have that, it would be over $600 a month, which is prohibitively expensive for me.
To see it over $1,000 was beyond shocking.
Going up to paying almost $1,200 a month it's going to be very, very difficult.
Without the subsidies, out-of-pocket premiums were projected to increase by 114% this year, an average of more than $1,000, according to a KFF analysis.
We know that, when people don't have coverage, when they're really, really, really sick or face an emergency, they still need to seek care. So it's going to be an increased burden on our local hospitals and our local providers.
The end of the ACA's subsidies was at the center of a political battle last fall that led to the longest government shutdown ever and will likely be a key issue going forward. A Scripps News Talker research poll found nearly 70% of Americans are concerned about affording their own health insurance. Growing healthcare costs quickly ripple to impact other parts of Americans' finances. According to a recently published Gallup survey, about a third of Americans cut back on other spending to cover healthcare costs. Maura Barrett, Scripps News Group, Denver.
Western and central Nebraska battling the biggest wildfires that the state has ever seen, and that means that the cattle industry is taking a big hit. I'm in Wahoo talking to local experts of sorts to find out what to expect with beef prices. Inside Wahoo Meat Locker, manager Connor Emsweiler tells me the Wahoo wiener, pork and beef, is his most popular seller.
Anyone has ever lived here or around here and they moved away, if they're ever back in town, they're going to hit up Wahoo Locker for Wahoo wieners and what else, whatever else they like.
He tries to keep prices for that and other products low. That means shopping wholesale beef. He's not exactly sure what the short-term impact of those fires will be, but he does know that the loss of so many valuable acres of ranch land won't help.
All it's going to do if we lose cattle is their prices are just going to go up.
I spoke with customers in the store who are feeling the squeeze of higher prices. Connor's solution is getting creative.
Ground beef is always very reasonable, and when ground beef, started to get higher, we came out with we call it Wahoo Burger. We have it at $2.99 a pound. It's half beef and half pork. You could use it for anything that you do with just regular ground beef.
As if the loss of grazing land wasn't bad enough, ranchers are saying their hay and other feed is lost or damaged. Connor expects more customers to skip beef altogether.
I'd say there are more people eating, chicken or pork right now, just because, if you can't afford that expensive steak, more than you'd like, then you're just not going to buy it.
And I'm told the fix isn't going to be quick.
Do you see, a light at the end of the tunnel?
I think it's just going to take, years of farmers continually to, raise beef and more cow-calf pairs that, build up the herd.
In Wahoo, I'm your Northeast Nebraska neighborhood reporter, Max Williams.
How cool is this? You are looking at what is believed to be a confirmed piece of that meteor that zoomed over our sky here in Northeast Ohio on St. Patty's Day. I'll have the details. got a piece of outer space at your house? We'd love to come visit.
Come on over.
Yes.
Gabe Leidy works in supply chain, but his passion is photography.
Landscape photography.
He took these shots around Northeast Ohio.
Cityscapes, wildlife.
But something out of this world caught his eye on Wednesday.
Is it heavy?
It's got some weight to it, yeah. I mean, it's dense, yeah. It feels like for all the world like a piece of glass.
Gabe found what appears to be a meteorite from that 7-ton asteroid that zoomed across Northeast Ohio at 40,000 miles per hour Tuesday morning before fragmenting over Medina County.
When I walked upon this thing, it looked for everything in the world like exactly what I thought I was looking for. Because I'm really excited about it.
Gabe says he was in Sharon Center, which is within NASA's strewn field map.
So I did take a video of it, actually. I wasn't wearing gloves. But it just, I was like, man, if that's not, then what is it, you know?
I am a professor of planetary geology at Case Western Reserve University.
Okay, this is your jam. This is like your time to shine.
Celebrity status isn't my jam, but the rocks are.
Professor Harvey has been busy, but agreed to look at some photos submitted to News 5 for possible meteorites, including Gabe's.
That is a pretty little button. I would put my poker chips on that being a meteorite. I mean, it's hard to tell what kind it is, but, you know, it's clearly got this little melted rim all around it. Like it's a little object that's been had nice glassy surface flowing away. So, yeah, that's very promising looking.
It's similar feedback Gabe says he's gotten from other experts he's shown it to.
I've heard rumors that this is from the people that have seen them and looking at these rocks. There's a chance it's called an HED. It stands for, well, scientists only, people that would love it. Howardites, eucrites, diogenites, but those are strongly associated with coming from the asteroid 4 Vesta, where the Dawn mission was recently. They look just like the right stuff.
We showed Professor Harvey some other photos of local finds, like this one.
Yeah, there's one that says it's credited to Roberto Vargas that is like a flake from one of these rocks, and it definitely looks like a meteoritic flake.
News 5 viewer Crystal Eklum shared these photos of rocks her son Jace spotted at Medina Trails. A bit less clear, said Professor Harvey, but tough to say for sure.
I don't see that black glass outer crust. That doesn't mean it's not a meteorite. It just, and this is one of those cases where context is everything, right?
Speaking of context, Andy in Medina said he found these in his barn that had small holes in the roof and side.
And a reason to look more closely at those specimens.
As for Gabe,
it does look otherworldly.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's why, the one thing that threw me immediately was that it wasn't magnetic, because I did have a magnet that I had brought with me.
This lucky find will certainly stick with him.
Did the hair help you become one in the search at all?
I have no idea. I was actually wearing a hat. It was very cold. It was quite cold that day, actually.
He's grateful for the memento of a spectacular day in Northeast Ohio, and like many of us, also grateful for an opportunity to connect with the cosmos.
Any other questions?
No, not at the moment. Appreciate the feedback for sure.
Good, because if you ask too many questions, I got to charge tuition. I'm sorry.
I'm still paying student loans, man.
Katie Houston, Scripps News Group.
New documents show how widespread and confusing the Trump administration's order to review and remove any history that puts America in a negative spotlight has been. We're talking about information on everything from slavery to climate change. This all started last spring with the president's executive order directing staff to ensure public lands and memorials do not have any content that, quote, inappropriately disparages Americans. Then an Interior Department memo led to national park sites putting up controversial QR codes, encouraging visitors to report negative views about the U.S. Now leaked documents show just how widespread these flagged items are. Not everything flagged is being removed, but that's where the work and the confusion lies.
The time that they had to spend to go through and review all of the interpretive programs, the exhibits, the brochures, the videos, has put a lot of effort and time on the part of park rangers when they really should have been doing other things.
Bill Wade with the Association of National Park Rangers worries about which aspects of history or science might be at risk. He too was a park ranger and says being forced to tell different versions of stories or withhold facts is frustrating. He also worries about the sites that become national parks because of the history that happened there.
And so what I'm concerned about is if we don't win this suit and the restoration or the removal and the censorship is halted and the restoration doesn't continue, I'm somewhat concerned that they might just go after those areas themselves and deauthorize them.
A federal lawsuit has been filed to stop the entire process. The Department of Interior responded to those leaked documents, saying in part, these are not drafts and not a representation of final action, and that the documents were edited before being inappropriately and illegally released. The department even went on to say that the employees who leaked this to, quote, hurt the Trump administration will be held accountable. If you're interested in how this impacts national parks near you, there is a website and a map showing all the sites that have been flagged for possible removal. Go to the website you see on your screen, missingparkhistory.org.